request Dr. Shada Jain, Madam, to take us through influenza and pregnancy session. Over to you, Madam.
Thank you very much. My warmest and heartfelt regards for Dr. Chandravati, a friend of mine, and Professor Malhotra. And I also bring greetings to all of the people who are watching us live for this particular program. I'm thankful to Dr. Malhotra to set the ball rolling, and every time he does a great job. He's known for that particular thing. And all three of us have been an advocate of vaccinating, not only SP vaccination, but also reviving what is called adult vaccination. And we are trying our best, though it requires a lot of effort on this particular thing. Now, can I have my control? Ma'am? Ma'am,
Yes, ma'am.
I want the control.
Yes, ma'am, you have the control.
Okay. Where is my slides? Just 1 minute. Give me. Just 1 minute, please. That's it. Today I'm going to talk about influenza and pregnancy. Why this presentation today? At the outset, I must tell you that flu is very dear to me. My husband got from this mild seasonal flu, Guillain-Barré syndrome. And thank God he recovered completely. But this re-emphasizes a point that this particular vaccination needs to be taken by every adult, every person. So I wish to talk on this. The content will be why the importance of vaccination. I will touch upon the impact of influenza and also the rationale for this. Now, as far as this particular vaccine is concerned and why this particular talk, this is my 7th talk in the last 5 years. This is because in spite of all recommendations, the compliance of giving flu vaccination in this country is maximum 20%, while it is accepted all over the world as far as the developing world is concerned. So this is coming back again with the request with folded hands. This particular vaccination is required during pregnancy. As for the magic of vaccination is concerned, Dr. Malhotra has highlighted, but with the exception of clean drinking water, vaccines are the most effective intervention in reducing and preventing infectious disease. This particular slide shows the impact of vaccine in the US. You can see all the infections rate has been made either 0 or maximum they are only in the range of 5 to 10%. Nearly 90 to 100%, the infections can come down. It's vaccination only. As Madam pointed out just now, Corona, as the importance of vaccination, will never be forgotten. I think for the last 1.5 years, we have been just listening about the impact. The similar story had been there because of Spanish flu. As far as the name of this particular vaccination goes, it is way back in 1918. One army officer walks in the morning with history of fever, sore throat and headache. By lunchtime, 100 ill soldiers were admitted. By the weekend, there were 500. And as far as this vaccination is concerned, this infection is concerned, 500 million people got affected, and 100 million nearly estimated they lost their life. There were no individual cemetery. There was a mass burial, reminding us again has been causing. Everyone is at risk, just like corona virus, everybody is at risk. The children are more prone to infection. They're 1 in 3, while adults are 1 in 10. And in US alone, 10 to 40,000 deaths are accountable as far as flu infection was concerned. मेरे जैसे लोग कहते हैं कि फ्लू तो कोविड का बच्चा है. जिसने COVID-19 देख लिया, flu is nothing. It has the same characteristics, spreads easily from person to person contact, and the WHO says the vaccination is the most effective way to prevent flu infection. I don't have to remind it. All of us have seen COVID infection. Similarly, you find the features in influenza in comparison to the common cold. There's more fever, high-grade headache, myalgia, fatigue, and weakness, and extreme exhaustion with severe chest discomfort and cough. The virus transmission will be slowed by social distancing, just like a COVID virus. Influenza virus is known to drift and shift. Sometimes it comes as a seasonal flu, sometimes it takes a pandemic flu, and other times it's an avian flu. Again, this particular slide shows last 100 years how things have behaved. The circulation of H5 and N1 in poultry and its high fatality rate have raised concerns over H5 and N1 pandemic. If this virus acquires capacity for sustained human-to-human transmission, it can be dangerous. Coming to vaccine, tetravalent or trivalent vaccine, which one? We all know the tetravalent vaccine consists of 2 strains of influenza A and the 2 strains of influenza B, whereas trivalent vaccine consists of 2 strains of influenza A and 1 strain of influenza B. And we all know that influenza B accounts significant proportion of overall burden of influenza. And that's why it reduces the clinical effectiveness of trivalent influenza vaccines. And so everybody talks today of tetravalent vaccine. The phase 3 trial had been done in 2018, and they were found that this particular tetravalent vaccination was nowhere inferior in immunogenicity. It is safe and it is tolerable. Coming to the high-risk group, we all know about it, that health workers get the priority, the elderly and the individuals who have comorbidities get the second thing. Pregnant patients are again a very, very high-risk group. And then children 6 months and 5 years older. Less than 6 months, there is no way that the vaccination of influenza can be given to them. So they indirectly benefited by giving a vaccination to the mother. So if somebody asks me about, if I have 1 vaccination and these 5 people are the aspirant, whom should I give vaccination? As an obstetrician, I can say that a pregnant patient who is taking care of the 2 lives, she gets the importance as far as this group is concerned. In the last 10 years, we have started keeping a record in India as far as the influenza cases have been concerned. And the burden of influenza in pregnancy, we all know about it, that everybody is prone, but it roughly varies between 5 to 20%. This disease burden is a significant one. And as far as the deaths are concerned, from the average of the last 4 pandemics, it is 5% deaths occur during pregnancy. And there is 18-fold increase in the likelihood of hospitalization due to respiratory infection during flu season as for the pregnant patients concerned. This particular slide shows the impact of influenza vaccination. We all know that a pregnancy hospitalization over 4 influenza seasons have shown that there is a 4-fold rise in preterm delivery, 2 to 5-fold rise in the fetal distress, in occurrence of stillbirths, premature births, and 4-fold increase in cesarean section rate. As far as the impact of influenza infection in infants is concerned, we all know that the infants and the young children less than 6 months of age have the highest rate of influenza infection and hospitalization amongst the pediatric population. And the factors involved are that immaturity of the infant immune system, increased vulnerability of their cardiorespiratory conditions, and that is why the cocooning is very important. That the mother is given vaccination, easy and effective way that the people can adopt to prevent spread of whooping cough or a flu infection to the babies. So the rationale of influenza vaccination is it markedly reduces the number of influenza-related hospitalization and deaths. Vaccination of pregnant women reduces the burden for influenza in children less than 6 months old in 2 ways: by transmission of antibodies from the mother to the child, and reduces the risk of being infected after delivery from the mother. And because of both antiviral therapy or influenza vaccines are not indicated for use in children less than 6 months. And that is why there is a merit of vaccinating the mother for herself and for this particular child. So summarizing, as far as both the flu vaccination and Tdap vaccinations are concerned, about 2 weeks after the vaccination, the mother develops antibodies to influenza. The antibodies enter the placenta and are transferred to the baby. The baby is born with antibodies that provide protection against the flu in the first 6 months of child's life. So the recommendations are from all these big organizations: CDC, WHO, FOXI, American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists. Everybody says that flu vaccination should be given during pregnancy, irrespective of any trimester. Though the FOXI has put a recommendation, but this particular flu vaccination, just like COVID vaccination, can be taken in any trimester. Now, as far as the vaccination effectiveness is concerned, we all know about it. In case person has missed out during pregnancy, postpartum influenza vaccination outcomes in infants, again, this decreases by 50% hospitalization, influenza-like illness, the febrile illness, and administration of antibiotics. And it decreases by 1/3 the acute respiratory illness, which is very prone in newborn child. As for the mother is concerned, maternal influenza immunization is a strategy. Substantial benefits gives both the mother and to the infant. Postpartum vaccination emerged as the only factor in reducing acute respiratory tract infection in a young infant. And she herself, the morbidity thing, it decreases by almost 1/3. As for the safety and immunization during pregnancy is concerned, there's an excellent and robust safety profile of this particular vaccination, and that is why the WHO recommends that every pregnant woman should be vaccinated. When it comes to congenital malformations, again, various studies have shown that there's a safety of influenza vaccination and there is no chance of congenital malformations with the maternal influenza infection and immunization. Types of influenza vaccine which need to be used. The first generation, which was started in 1945, it consisted of inactivated whole virus. The second generation was split virus vaccine, and now which we use is subunit vaccine. And this subunit vaccine makes it more immunogenic and much more safer. And that is why it is suggested for high-risk subgroups of population, which includes children, elderly people, pregnant ladies, liver transplant patients, asthmatic patients, and diabetic, and the patients who are chronically admitted in the nursing home residence. So again, I show this particular slide that all these big bodies, right from the CDC, WHO, ACOG, and the FOXI recommends that this particular vaccination should be given to all pregnant patients. Now, as far as the WHO surveillance of the influenza vaccination is concerned, wish to say that every country has a lab which monitors, WHO monitors them very closely. Twice a year they have a meeting, and there is a country-specific strains are included in the vaccine. So vaccine which is used for India cannot be used in Pakistan. It has to be a country-specific vaccine made and given to them. And it is said that limited influenza activity is seen throughout the year in India, with clear peaking during the rainy season. And that is why all of us must take vaccination prior to the rainy season. The exception is Tamil Nadu, where the rainy season is from October to December. The WHO recommends seasonal influenza vaccination to all pregnant women as the highest priority, and the FOXI also recommends the same. Now, as far as which vaccine to be used in the northern hemisphere and which vaccine should be used in the southern hemisphere, again, you can see there is a change of strains of vaccines, and that is why the northern hemisphere vaccine has to be used in that particular part, and the southern hemisphere, the vaccine is the thing because of the strain specific. Now, coming to the frequently asked questions, which is the repetition as for the flu vaccination is concerned, should this pregnant woman should get vaccinated against influenza? Yes, but it has to be inactivated influenza. Receive the nasal spray vaccine during pregnancy. Is it safe for the pregnant woman to receive flu vaccination? Yes, there is thousands and thousands of people have had the flu vaccination. It is done thing everywhere, and there is enough data that it is absolutely safe. The only thing my request with the folded hands for the Indian gynecologists that they should take up this particular vaccination. And it is only at this particular time that maximum 20% people are giving vaccination to their pregnant mothers, but it should be made 100%, just like COVID vaccination. What side effects can a pregnant patient experience from this flu vaccination? Dr. Malhotra just now pointed out, but I again say it mostly includes the local redness and a swelling at the vaccination site maximum. A patient can have a fever the same evening, or a person can feel unwell for 1 or 2 days, and nothing major as far as the complication, the side effects of this vaccination are concerned. Can you get Tdap vaccination, flu vaccination at the same time? Yes. If you're giving on the same day, it can be given in 2 arms. But in case if you're not giving on the same day, let the difference of 10 to 15 days should be maintained between the 2 vaccinations. Is it okay to breastfeed after getting the flu vaccination? Yes, it is safe, and we have already highlighted that through the mother, the antibodies are transferred to the baby, and that's the only safeguard the newborn babies less than 6 months has. How can I make sure that my patient is protected against flu? The infant cannot be vaccinated against influenza until they are 6 months old, but they are particularly vulnerable to severe complications because of flu. The best way to protect them by making sure that the people in close contact of the baby should be vaccinated. That includes parents, that includes siblings, that includes grandparents and caregivers. Beginning at 6 months of age, all children should be vaccinated annually against flu. Children from 6 months to 8 years, the first time it is given 2 doses and subsequently it is a single dose. It takes about 2 weeks after vaccination when the protection is there. So coming to the take-home messages, influenza is 5 times more likely to cause severe illness in pregnant women than a woman who is non-pregnant. The changes in the immune system, the heart and the lungs during pregnancy make pregnant women more prone to severe illness from influenza. The risk of premature delivery is increased in pregnant women with influenza. The influenza hospitalization rate in less than 6 months of age are up to 10 times that of an older children. However, no influenza vaccine are licensed for use in children less than 6 months of age. The vaccination during pregnancy has been shown to protect both the mother and her infant up to 6 months from influenza illness, influenza hospitalization, and influenza-related preterm birth and deaths. Influenza vaccine have been given to millions of pregnant women over the last decade and has not been shown to cause any harm to the woman and their child. The influenza vaccine can be given to pregnant women in any trimester. Postpartum women, even if she's breastfeeding, she can receive the vaccination. Now, lastly, a word about each one of you who are non-pregnant taking the vaccination. Today, get the flu vaccination. It is you need the vaccination today and today only. Getting the flu vaccine is much safer than getting the flu. With these words, thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam, for the very informative and well-thought session to all of us on influenza and pregnancy. And now I request all our audience to post any questions. We'll be really happy to take them up. And I think, Madam, we already have been getting questions. So panelists, with your permission, can I read out the questions?
Yeah, Sharia, come out with the questions and
Yes.
Yes, please.
Thank you so much. So I've just clubbed two questions. The first question is, what is the ideal time for the HPV vaccine? So this is part A of the question. So over to our panelists, and then I will repeat the second part of the question.
So the ideal time for a HPV vaccination is 11 years adolescent, the girl. So and then they have to take only 2 doses. They don't have to take. Otherwise, if they have not taken, any time is ideal. So they should till 45 years of age.
And it has been shown that in a sexually active woman also, the efficacy of the vaccine is a tune of 99.9 to 99.6%.
Absolutely.
So one should really not go with an idea that this vaccine it can be only given to adolescent and cannot be given afterwards.
as far as I remember, Shada, you told me once that even above after 45, you will recommend them to have it. At least
Yes.
some protection is over there. Yeah.
Madam, we are giving it after
Doctor, when
45
I
years.
got trained in Singapore, I was asked a question from my teacher who was from Canada. She said,
Yeah.
Doctor, I come to your country and I've taken already 2 vaccinations. I want a 3rd vaccination.
Hmm.
Will you help me? I said, look, the Foxy and the government of India, I said till 46 years. Then she told me, government of India, based on the expert advisors, said if they have money, they will give free vaccination up to age of 46. But in case if the effectiveness of vaccine can be there to the tune of 99.9%, then why you should stop it? In my country, that is Canada, even if you request, make it 60 years, you can take a vaccination.
Yeah.
So I feel
I think that should
anybody
be
who wants to
ideal.
go to
That
vaccination
should
can have it.
go. Yeah, that should go. Yeah.
So we are also giving it after 45, but since you
Yeah.
asked one specific age, adolescent.
Only thing we have to
Well,
tell them, because whatever government of India's guidelines, we have to tell them.
I
But
know, that's true.
I think one can recommend them.
I have taken at the age of 60 years.
Yeah, you told me, Shada.
Yes,
I
madam,
remember
yes.
very well. Yeah,
That's it.
Thank you to all our panelists. I think the question was brilliantly answered. So the second part to this, which I've clubbed from our audience, is, can HPV vaccine be given after first child?
Absolutely, yes. Anytime. First child, 24 hours after delivery, give her the shot in the hospital only.
Thank you so much, panelists. So coming to the next question, which is by our audience, can a flu vaccine be administered during the IVF cycle?
I will suggest that during IVF cycle, it is not desired, but prior to IVF, these all people should be told that they should have taken the vaccination.
Thank you so much, madam. Our next question from the audience is, the question which is generally asked by many patients to doctors, and even doctors want to know this. So the question from the audience is that, can a vaccine harm a developing fetus?
See, the question is, Dr. Malhotra has very clearly said what vaccines can be given during pregnancy. Now, taking 2 vaccines in particular, COVID vaccine and flu vaccination, it has been shown very well that they do not have any harmful effect in terms of congenital malformation or anything. It definitely, because of fever, the preterm delivery will increase, the stillbirth rate will increase, and in panic, many people will do more cesarean sections. There is no chances of increasing a cesarean section rate. As far as the baby is concerned, vaccination does not harm the baby. Vaccination does not harm.
So dead vaccines, if you not give, don't give live vaccines in pregnancy because the virus can cross the placenta. Dead vaccine will produce antibodies, and the antibodies will cross the placenta and actually help the baby.
So that is, I think that is the basic, Naren, that live viruses cannot inject during pregnancy.
Correct.
Talking about live vaccines, we have a similar question from the audience. So the question is, can a live vaccine like MMR or varicella can be given in postpartum as postpartum vaccination?
Yeah, sure.
So
See,
we showed you
postpartum
the
vaccination, any
postpartum.
vaccine can be given.
Yeah.
Postpartum, you have to catch up. All vaccines can be given.
Thank you so much, panelists. And going with the same flow, a similar question from the audience. What are the vaccines which are contraindicated in pregnancy?
I think Naren took it in very detail. I think he has given the list over there. Yeah.
just to summarize an important vaccine, which one is something, sir, would you suggest that is a big no-no during pregnancy?
So let's say out of all the vaccines, what is allowed is hepatitis B, influenza, tetanus, Tdap pertussis in the last week, and COVID.
That
And
is all
rest are all contraindicated.
Thank you
But
so
in
much.
case if they inadvertently had taken it in the, before they came to know about the pregnancy, we are very specific, as far as HPV vaccination is concerned, there is no indication for MTP.
Thank you so much, madam, for answering that as well. So we have another question from the audience. Do women still need a pap test if they get the HPV vaccine?
Yes,
So-
they need it.
Yes, madam. Dr. Sharda,
Dr.
your opinion.
Chandravati, Dr. Chandravati, you want to take it? हाँ.
हाँ, वो तो शारदा बताएगी. वो तो
Doctor, as far as vaccination is concerned, I always say that every time a woman is exposed to sex, she gets a new virus. And that's the basis of screening, that in spite of you've taken a vaccination, your screening from 21 to 65 years is mandatory. If you are taking only pap smear, you're doing it, then in case if it is absolutely normal, then 3 years later, the cervical cancer screening has to be done. In case after 30 years, you are doing a co-test, that means if you're taking a pap smear, plus you are getting a high-risk DNA panel done for those 15 viruses, which are oncogenic, if both are all right, you can take it every 5 years. So it answers that vaccination has to be taken, but screening has to also get simultaneously. Vaccination forms the base of the prevention of the cervical cancer, and the screening comes at the second level.
Thank you, madam. I think that summarizes very well about the both going hand in hand parallelly. So thank you for answering that.
It's like
We
it's
have-
like COVID vaccine. No, you take the COVID vaccine, but you still have to follow the COVID appropriate behavior, because the infection can still come and you could infect the other. So it's the simple
all
and
type of mutations you are hearing every day. So
Yes.
you have to be really
You have to be
precautious all the
careful.
time. Yeah.
try to catch them.
Thank you so much to our panelists. I think that was very beautifully answered. Our next question is regarding the influenza vaccine. So coming to influenza vaccine, I've just categorized the questions from the audience in two parts. The first part is, what is the ideal time for influenza vaccination? The second thing is, for those pregnant women, what is the ideal time?
See, let me be very frank. I will talk first on pregnancy. The guidelines by the FOXI, which is the law of the land, that it should be given 26 weeks onwards. But in my practice, if the flu season around, people like me had been giving it 12 weeks. But since the COVID time has come, it can be given anytime. Anytime it can be given, irrespective of which day of the pregnancy you are.
I think as far as I understand, Sharda, for protecting the women, anytime the season is there, you need to give it. But
Absolutely.
if you want to give a passive immunization to the fetus, it means you have to give it into the third trimester. So at least 6 months, there's a passive immunization of the
Great. Yeah, this is
baby. Yeah.
Thank you, madam. And also, madam, we just want to know the relevance of taking this influenza vaccine in those pregnant women and its relevance to the developing fetus, or even a child lesser than 6 months where vaccine cannot be given. So is there any added effects to the young infant?
See, as far as the safety is concerned, as far as the child has only safety is the mother is vaccinated. If it is given close to her delivery, the effect is much better. 15 days it takes antibody to develop. And once the mother has developed antibodies, they automatically get transferred to the baby. And secondly, the child in a closed atmosphere of the house can get only infection from the mother, by the siblings, by the grandparents who are handling the child. So not only the mother should get vaccination, in case if this child has to be prevented, then everybody around should take a vaccination. And that should be our policy. Otherwise, as far as I have known about this particular vaccination, it does not cause any harmful effect. In fact, it is Ramban for the safety of the newborn.
Thank you so much, madam. That explains the concept of cocooning even for the baby as well. Vaccinating everyone around the child, whether it's parents, grandparents, whoever it may be, and also very well said that of the antibody transfer to the young infant as well or the fetus. So thank you, madam, for answering that question.
Now, here I wish to just tell you also for all of us, whether it's Dr. Malhotra, whether Dr. Chandravati or myself, each year we must take vaccination. I've been taking it for the last 15
we all
16 years.
take it.
Me and my husband, and I find all seasonal, flu and things like a little fever is not there now. We maintain a good chest health as far as since the time we've
My
started taking
influenza vaccine date is 15th August. So I don't forget. Every 15th August I take it.
Great.
I think that's a very nice way to remember, sir. 15th August, both, there are two events on that day for you, sir.
Freedom from diseases, yes.
Freedom from disease.
Thank you so much, sir. We know it lightened up our mood as well. So speaking of safety, madam, which we spoke, there is another question from the audience. Which flu vaccines have the least reactogenicity? Is it the subunit vaccine or the split vaccine?
See, as far as these days are concerned, it is the subunit vaccine which is used. So when the technology is better, which is more safer, more immunogenic, and it can be given in complicated cases, as I highlighted, that all patients with comorbidities, all pregnant patients, all elderly people, wherever you have people have had a transplant, where you find, this particular person can have a more reaction, these vaccines are supposed to be safe. And when a better technology comes, everybody goes to that platform.
Thank you so much, madam, for answering that. Another question related to this is asked by our audience is, should we go for the trivalent vaccine or the tetravalent vaccine in case of an healthy adult?
See, let me be. There is an evolution as far as the vaccination is concerned. Trivalent vaccine had two A and B. It had only one influenza. But we found that a quite significant number of patients are affected with B protein. So now in technology, in tetravalent vaccine, there are two viruses from the A and the two viruses are from the B category. Since the time they've started using tetravalent vaccine, it's a much broader coverage it gives. And that's why it's an improvement in technology from trivalent to tetravalent. And that's why tetravalent is used. Why should you go for a vaccine which was used?
Actually, I think what Shada is saying, every time you go to the better technology, why should you go back to a technology which was, like in HPV vaccination? If 9-valent comes, we will go for that only.
Very right.
Yeah.
I give you an example. We were using triple test. Now the triple test.
Now we are doing quadruple test.
Yes, khatam ho gaya.
Khatam ho gaya. So we go to the newer technology and better technology. So why should we go back to?
Thank you, madam, for answering that, and very rightly said, madam. And thank you for highlighting on the advantage of this tetravalent vaccine as well. So we have another question from the audience, which I've categorized into two parts as well. So the first part is, can a PCOS or endometriosis patient take a vaccine?
Why not? Why not? Why not? Anyone can take. During menstruation, during anything, anyone can take. Please don't start all this, this one cannot.
Thank you, sir.
When you are sleeping, you are awake, you are running, you are walking. A vaccination can be done anytime, any place, anywhere. Yeah.
And there's a myth going around, the vaccination cannot be taken during periods. Nowhere it has been written.
That is not there, anything.
Thank you, madam. The next part of this question is, what are the important vaccines for those, women struggling with PCOS? Any preference, panelist, according to you, for vaccine?
All the adult
vaccines are
vaccination.
important.
You are PCO, you are non-PCO, you are obese, you are thin, you are endometriotic, you are fibroid. All the adult vaccination for everyone. Why we cannot discriminate or put them into an extra or not give them? Because there is no vaccination against PCO. So there is no special vaccine for them. They have to take all.
Dr. Malhotra, I also want to request the audience who are watching us. Somehow gynecologists are reluctant. If you take an HPV vaccination, 2/3 vaccination given our pediatrician. Our gynecologists, why they are reluctant? Less than 0.1% people are taking it. And this is what we need to do. Myself, Dr. Chandravati and Dr. Narendra Malhotra is trying to say that please start using
Please
vaccine.
start. हम तो वैक्सीनेशन के अलावा दूसरा काम ही नहीं करते. हम लोग तो वैक्सीनेटर हो गए हैं बस.
डॉक्टर साहब तभी तो एबट वालों ने 3 वैक्सीनेटर्स को बुलाया है डॉक्टर साहब.
We really look up to all you panelists. So thank you for sharing your thoughts, your recommendations, your opinions. It matters a lot to us. So thank you for sharing that. My next question is again regarding, prediction of an outbreak, especially for influenza. And we want your opinion. We want to highlight on this that, but the difficulty in prediction or, if it's, what is your opinion, panelist? Our audience wants to know.
See, nobody can predict. Nobody can predict, but we, before getting into the car, I have to have a driving license and I have to put a seat belt. And it's just like a seat belt, you need to be vaccinated yourself. That's all I can say.
Perfect. And flu season, we know what the flu season is. So it's better to wear your seatbelt before the flu season comes.
And sir, एक बार shot ले लोगे सारे साल की prevention हो जाएगी आप.
और क्या? और it may come, may not come. अच्छा है. नहीं आए तो बहुत ही अच्छा है.
और क्या? पूरे
आ गया तो आपको
साल का प्रोटेक्शन है, तो आप प्रोटेक्टेड हो, बचे रहो.
Thank you so much. So we have another question from the audience. If a person has been exposed to measles, mumps, or rubella, would you consider vaccination immediately?
Not during pregnancy.
For a non-pregnant adult, madam?
See, the question is, if just like COVID, if I've got COVID vaccination, I have to take a COVID vaccination 3 months later. So once my infection has subsided, once I'm fit for it, there is no hurry. I've already created antibodies for myself. So I will be protected for some time. So there is no hurry as far as the vaccination is concerned. You get your things tested. If you're still not non-immunized category, you will take the vaccination.
Thank you, madam. Similarly, we have another question. Post-recovery from influenza for a healthy adult, would you consider vaccination? If yes, what is the time gap between recovery from influenza to taking the vaccination?
So influenza comes with different strains, no? The next year you will have to take a new strain vaccine.
No, what she's meaning, I think, if he had fever or some sort of thing.
He's recovered, तो अब कब
Recovered,
vaccine?
कभी भी लगा लो उसको.
कभी भी लगा दो उसमें.
Okay, thank you, sir. Usually, we just wanted to know if there was any time gap, or we can give, after recovery, a few days after recovery, or any preference of time.
I think one waits for the fever and everything to subside, the symptoms to subside. It's better always to wait about a week or two and then give the vaccination.
See, influenza vaccination has not so been talked about as COVID vaccination. One thing is very clear, अगर COVID हो गया तो आपको 3 महीने के बाद लेना है.
छुट्टी
इसी
लेनी
तरह से
बाद
आपको
में.
फ्लू हो गया तो 3 महीने तो लेना नहीं, अगले सीजन में जरूर लेना है.
हाँ, बात जरूर लेना.
कि अगले सीजन में दूसरा स्ट्रेन से आएगा इन्फ्लुएंजा, तो दो दूसरा स्ट्रेन का वैक्सीन लेना ही पड़ेगा. ये अगर प्रिवेंट कर रहा, आपको एक इन्फेक्शन से 6 महीने प्रिवेंशन हो जाएगा, बट नेक्स्ट स्ट्रेन विल कम म्यूटेट एंड सो यू हैव टू टेक अ वैक्सीन.
Thank you, sir. So, sir, we have another question, which is asked by our audience. This is a scenario. So, consider a patient A who took a healthy adult who took an influenza vaccination probably in the month of April. Then we have the new recommendation which has come towards mid or the end of the year. Would you consider, or would you suggest, or would you recommend vaccinating that healthy person A with the new strain, or would you wait for next year?
I will tell you what is my policy. If somebody has taken a vaccination and we find that 1 month later the new thing has been made, I do not suggest them. I think she will take next year.
I agree with you that strain next year, we give it next year.
Thank you so much, panelists.
At least 6 months later.
at least 6 months later. So, okay, thank you very much. So I think that's very informative to all our doctors here who often, try to understand about the recommendations. It gives them good clarity on this particular concept as well. So moving to the next question. This is a very practical question, I would say, which is asked by our audience. So I'm going to divide it into two parts since we're speaking of both, pregnant healthy adults as well as the non-pregnant adults or even the adolescents. So what are the challenges faced in these groups when it comes to vaccination? And what are the ways that we can teach our doctors to convince the patient to overcome these challenges?
Madam Chandravati. See, I only feel.
हाँ बोलो.
डॉक्टर साहब इसको लीजिए कि ये अगर उनको फोबिया है तो कैसे करेंगे टैकल?
Sorry, I could not just get to the.
Let me just tell you, as for the vaccination is concerned, the challenges are that we must have vaccination available for us to be given to them.
Okay.
There's a large chunk of adolescent population who cannot afford because they are not earning member. So it is the government has to do it or the family has to do it. So just like COVID times, the people who can't afford has to go for a free vaccination and the people who can afford will go for a private vaccination.
I think the government, whatever in vaccination government is not giving, I think family has to support that also. The family has to be there to support it. And
Sir, हर चीज free तो नहीं मिलेगी.
Sharda, I don't find families creating any problem for vaccination. Even
they
for
don't.
HPV vaccine also, one moment counseling I think is enough to get the vaccination done. So what we need to do is that we as gynecologists need to spend some time for counseling. You need to talk and tell them about vaccination, and I'm sure most of them would agree to it and take it.
I also don't find any difficulty.
Yeah.
Sir, any comments from your end, sir, regarding the same in terms of...
So the challenges for getting people to get them vaccinated is obviously financial one, which is expensive vaccine. They don't want to spend. They've come for a disease. They just want drugs. They still don't believe in prevention. So that awareness has to be spread that disease prevention is much, much better than curing or getting the disease and landing up into cancer or influenza or in the ICU. So counseling is very important, and except for HPV, the other vaccines are not very expensive. So
they're not expensive.
And then you just tell them that the cost of cancer and a cost of HPV vaccination.
You need to talk to them. Yeah, Narendra, what he's saying is that you tell them if disease happens, what happens. So the word itself frightens them, and they're, if you explain them, they are willing to take it. Maybe not the same time, next month, after 2 months, but they would come back.
Correct.
And डॉक्टर साहब इन नॉर्थ में जैसे लोग कहते हैं भैया आप अपना दिवाली वगैरह में जो इनके लिए एक्स्ट्रा ड्रेस बनानी होती है वो मत बनाइए, इनको वैक्सीनेशन दे.
यही कह देते हैं भाई उतने में साड़ी खरीद लोगे तो बना लो. आजकल तो साड़ी भी 4-5 हजार की आती है. कौन सी आती है ऐसी?
I always tell her.
एक महीने मत खरीदो नई चीज.
हाँ और क्या. अब आजकल तो पैंडेमिक में कोई जरूरत ही नहीं है, कहीं भी बैठो कुछ भी पहनो.
But डॉक्टर साहब I always say that in case if the husband is there or the father is there, I always tell them please call him. I want to counsel, and I always tell them that आप ये दिवाली वाली बात कहते हैं, वो कहती नहीं डॉक्टर साहब दिवाली में भी कर देंगे, वैक्सीनेशन भी कर देंगे. डॉक्टर साहब आपका बहुत सही.
Very well said, madam. So continuing this, concept of, vaccination, especially for influenza or any vaccination in general, we have a very, very important question which is put forth by our audience on catch-up vaccination, especially for those parents or mothers who often, take care of their child, very busy with your work, and, catch-up vaccination becomes very important, or even during this pandemic time, the importance of catch-up vaccination, would like to be highlighted. So what is your opinion on that, panelist?
See, catch-up vaccination is just like similar to primary vaccination. आपने उस टेंडर एज में जहां ये रेकमेंडेड नहीं लिया तो भाई जब आप जागे तब ले लो. It is as important as that, and only the efficacy has to be seen whether taking Later, will it be efficacious as the vaccine is concerned? And most of the vaccines have got the same efficacy, whether you take at that particular time or you take it during the catch-up time. So I think the vaccination has to be taken. The mindset of the doctors has to change. I find there is no reluctance in case if the counseling session has been great from the doctor. It just requires motivation and counseling from the doctors.
And what COVID has taught us is it's made counseling easier because vaccination has been talked so much. Everyone, sir, then they keep coming and asking, और कौन सी vaccine ले सकते हैं?
हाँ तो वही नरेंद्र अब तो सब क्यू लगा के वैक्सीन ले रहे हैं.
Yes. now
दिन
you
आने
can
वाला
tell
है
me
जब
anything.
हमारे इन्फ्लुएंजा के लिए भी क्यू लगेगी. सब
See,
क्यू
yeah,
लगा
सर,
के.
अब time आ गया है.
Introduce the vaccine increase हो गया मेरा. Pregnancy,
हाँ.
COVID vaccine increase हो गया है. HPV vaccination increase हो गया मेरे
हो
से.
गया है. अब उनको वैक्सीनेशन के बारे में पता है. वो डरते हैं कि वैक्सीनेशन अच्छी चीज है, हम ले लेंगे तो बच जाएंगे. You know that concept has come and I'm so happy कि हम दुख तो पा रहे हैं पैंडेमिक से. One thing it has given lesson to the whole humanity that vaccination is very important and prophylaxis and prevention is very important.
I again
That's what
repeat,
they
next
say.
to the clean water, the vaccination is the second one to prevent various diseases.
बस.
So it's such a big thing. Saaf pani, vaccinate, and no diseases.
No disease. बस better.
Thank you so much to all our panelists. It's very well said. My another question, which is related to from our audience, which is I've just clubbed it since it's on the same line. Following catch-up vaccination is often a little hard for doctors sometimes, for convincing the patients as well. But so which you and Madam elaborated very well on how we can counsel them. But what are the ways we can communicate to them? Vaccination charts or any digital methods? What is your opinion on the ways we can communicate to our patients? Is a question asked by a doctor.
First thing, we have to communicate to the doctors that vaccination is important. And then to the patient, you can have awareness camps, newspaper articles, clippings on your local TV, or your WhatsApp message groups with your patient, direct patient interaction, Facebook page, everything. Today, communication has become like very easy. Sitting here, you can communicate with the world in seconds. So use everything you have, all the armamentarium you have to communicate that vaccination is the only answer after safe cleaning drinking water to prevent diseases.
Narendra, I think one of the easiest way I found is put a big chart in your OPD where the relatives and the patients and everyone is sitting. When they read it, some part of it goes into it. And when they walk into a room, they might inquire, ma'am, I read that chart, what vaccination I can take. So there's easier ways also to do it. But as Naren said, the doctor's counseling is one of the most important part of it, the whole program.
The most difficult people I find the gynecologists, doctor.
Yeah, सबसे ज़्यादा वही है, देते ही नहीं है,
So much of reluctance.
लिखते ही नहीं है.
खुद भी नहीं लेंगे, अपने बच्चे को भी नहीं देंगे, अपनी सिस्टर लॉ को भी किसी को नहीं देंगे.
एक दो बार मैंने शारदा asked them कि why don't you write them HPV vaccine, Gardasil लिखते या कोई सा क्यों नहीं लिखते? कहले मैम वो आए तो बीमारी के लिए अब इतना महंगा इंजेक्शन लिख देंगे, दोबारा हमारी आएंगे नहीं. So that type of feeling and I don't know what it is, but I think all the gynecologists need to come out of it. आपके patient are not going to go away if you are doing something for their health and for their betterment.
मैं तो डॉक्टर साहब एक स्टेप और भी जाऊंगी. आज उनको मेरी बात नहीं समझ आई, अगली बार मैं फिर बोलूंगी, फिर अगली बार आएंगे फिर बोलूंगी. मैं कहती हूँ नूतन अनुरोध करे जाओ, एक दिन तो
बस
देंगे.
और क्या.
Thank you, madam. I think I hope our doctors find it very useful. It's a very effective way, especially what Dr. Chandravati madam said, putting those charts on the clinic waiting areas. Personally, even when I wait for a doctor, I look around and see the posters. They help me a lot in fact, it reminds me of what to ask the doctor as well. So I think that's a very practical and effective way as well to have a communication to patients. And also, madam, just to add to this, Sharda madam, explaining, when it comes to counseling, I think explaining the patient that the hospitalization cost of influenza and the other added cost for the comorbid conditions is much higher than the cost of the vaccine itself. So I think if they're worried about financial part of it, convincing them about this cost would probably change their opinion towards vaccination. So I think this would be really helpful in convincing them. And of course, we have to tell them about the advantages, protection for themselves as well as the others, and maintain a good environment. So, but if they're worried about cost, I think that would be effective as well.
कोविड के बाद अब सब कोई भी सवाल नहीं
पूछता ही नहीं अब तो कोई.
Thank you to all our panelists. I think all the questions were brilliantly answered. I want to ask one last question, which is a very important thing, especially which will give our doctors confidence, our patients confidence to vaccinate, and that is nothing but vaccinations success stories. So any of our panelists, would you like to share any success story or any feedback given by a patient on, or any opinion of yours that would have helped a patient, vaccination could have helped a patient, any vaccination success stories?
I will pick up as the COVID vaccination is concerned. And jab second lahar aayi, to people like us are also were caught, because my mother-in-law was 96 years old. She got infected, and then all of us got infected taking care of her. But because we were vaccinated, both the vaccine doses we had taken, we did not require hospitalization, or we did not have all that kind of morbidity which the people who have had problems. I had a little problem, but everything was managed at home. And this is because of the vaccination. What more can you find from the success story? The success story is so great as far as we medical fraternity people. 1,500 people have been lost, and majority of them either had taken one vaccination or they had not taken a vaccination at all. So I think the right success story is right in front of us. The people who have been vaccinated are alive in front of you in spite of our age.
Madam, I'm an example. Me and Dr. Jaideep, we got ourselves vaccinated in the first lot, January, and April 7th we got COVID positive. But there were no symptoms. We just had to lock ourselves, no symptoms at all. And that made me very, very confident. And after that, because we had a COVID hospital, so then both of us worked actually into the COVID ICU. We took the bold step, and we had the thing because we knew now that there is immunity and we can help others.
Correct.
So that is how vaccination helped us.
Thank you, sir. It's a very great example, for sharing with us, and that inspires all of us even to get vaccinated as well. So thank you to all our panelists. Questions were answered brilliantly. They were really very memorable to me. I will never forget these answers, and I'm sure all our doctors found it useful. And I would like to conclude with a take-home message by each one of you. So I think, sir, we can begin, sir, with your take-home message followed.
Don't wait, get vaccinated.
I will say that
just vaccinate.
my only request to the gynecologist obstetrician is take vaccination very seriously during pregnancy. Over and above what we have been giving TD and Tdap, there is a reluctance in giving Tdap because it is costly, and there's a reluctance in giving flu because it's costly. So now these vaccinations have to be taken, there is no choice.
My request to all the gynecologists, all the fraternity, all the doctors is spend some time, just use 1 or 2 minutes with your client and counsel your client about importance of vaccination, and that is how you can proceed with the vaccination.
Thank you so much to all our panelists. It was a privilege to learn from all of you, and panelists, we look forward to learn from you again in future. It was a great learning to all of us. Thank you to all our audience for hearing us out and for your questions, which our panelists answered very brilliantly. And some of them were actually a great example of, the immunization success stories and other answers that were answered. From my end, I would like to conclude with a very, small message. We all know that vaccination protects us as well as others from, many diseases. and especially in the adolescent female, there are certain diseases which have higher prevalence or higher morbidity during this adolescent period for these females, and vaccination helps them out. Coming to the adult population, especially for those who are pregnant or are expecting or are planning or post-pregnancy, this vaccination helps prevent serious infections. And for those healthy adult women and others as well, this vaccination is good for general health. So that is a very small, simple message from my end, that vaccination is important for everyone. So thank you to all our panelists. It was a great session, a privilege. Thank you to everyone. Thank you, madam. Thank you.
And thank you to the Abbott team that I could share the platform after a long time with Dr. Chandravati and Professor Malhotra.
Yes,
Our pleasure, madam. Our pleasure
I think
always to
it
be
was
with you.
more
Thank you,
like a
Abbott.
moment.
Thank you, Abbott, for doing this
Thank you so
great
much.
program. And I'm sure this will create a lot of awareness
Hello.
on vaccination women.
Thank you.
Thank you, Aishwarya, for conducting
you,
so well. Thank you.
Thank you, madam.